Good evening, I'm Julie Chen.
Wake up, everybody!
But first,
I cannot. On my daughter's birthday. Disgusting. Anybody want cake?
I want to welcome you guys all to my big brother funeral.
Can't find an individual to hate, because I hate you all.
Welcome to Not Game, all personal. Hey, we are a Big Brother podcast here talking about all things Big Brother, more specifically the events of this past week. I'm Nathan. This is Tony. How are you doing, Tony?
Hi.
Welcome back to talking about
Hey.
Big Brother.
I'm doing well. Thank you for the welcome back. Yeah, I'm just here, man, living life. I feel like, yeah, we watched a couple of episodes of shows, and it's happening.
It's happening. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Did I do well? Did I lead that off really
you did
well?
Great. I
Our
am.
retention is good.
We just finished watching this episode of a eviction, unanimous of Meme going home, and an HOH competition. And my jaw was on the floor for multiple reasons
Outrageous.
in this episode. The first, I'll say, we got probably the most bitter exit this season thus far.
Yeah.
And
Oh, absolutely.
one of the worst HOH wins, I think, as far as okay, let's just put this into perspective.
She earned it.
She earned it.
She studied. She used that young brain of hers.
She
The
wrote down
34-year-old brain.
Well, 35. She had a birthday this week in the house. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm glad I didn't see that. I don't care.
So when she wrote down her answer, I literally say aloud, I was like, "That is one of the worst answers I've ever seen on Big Brother."
Wasn't it like 27 at first?
It was 27. The question, was how long was Jared a zombie from entering the house as a zombie to losing the competition? Or wait, was it Cameron? One of the two. Doesn't matter.
It was Jared.
Okay. Right? So, 7 days. You should know that if you're in the house. Like, I knew that means, like, oh, well, it's just 7 days. Just, like, do the math. Like, get close to that. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
27 minutes. And then she adds a 6, which is, like, 10 hours. But then...
She did her best.
But then Felecia comes in, writes down around 49,000, which, did you do the math on this of how long it is?
No, but I'd love for you to tell me.
It's 34 days.
Yeah, he was. That's how long he was in the house, period, right? That's what they were going for there?
So basically this competition was decided by what is closer to a week, 10 hours or 34 days. That's what this was.
It's a good question. People have been asking.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure Julie had Felecia read hers because she was like letting the producers be like, wait, which one's close? Like, those are both so far away. Which one's actually closer? And then they're like, oh, it's this one.
Yeah, because I think it was around 10,000, which,
Mhm.
like, again, I don't know. I guess most people just aren't good at quick math like that. Like, I don't think I would have got it, but, like, I knew the steps right away. I was like, okay, 7 days, let's just figure out how many minutes in a day, you know what I mean? Like, you can
Mhm.
eventually get there, so maybe you're just on the spot and you just panic, but, like, oh, man, I would love to think that I could do better than that, but maybe
I was about to start doing it, but then Felecia was just like milking the clock for so long. And I thought we were finally going to get a situation where Julie's like, you know what? Your answer doesn't count. Bowie wins.
Yeah, it would have been, well, and I think, like, if she would have won, that would have been a little less, like, satisfying because she got so much time to, like, do all the math where, like, Bowie just, like,
Mhm.
gut his instinct, which
27
should've
minutes.
done that, but, like, oh, man.
Hey, I love when people are rewarded for awful answers. That's the
Yeah.
best. She could have left it at 27 and she still would have won by like
Yes,
30,000.
yes. No, she absolutely, because 27 minutes is closer to a week than 34 days is.
Yes. People have been saying. Oh, I love it. I
Everyone's talking.
was really hoping Felecia didn't win. That's very much where I was at that point. I don't know about you.
I think I was okay either way. Only for the, I think, just like storyline of here is someone that kind of blew up the house in a way this week, we'll talk about whether or not it was a good decision to keep her. I think for some people it was not. And so I
I think
feel
it was a
like
bad
that
decision.
would have been very entertaining for all of them to just have to eat that immediately. Like, oh shoot,
Yeah,
we should have voted this person out.
we
Um,
should have considered this.
yes. So for that reason, I'm disappointed. But yeah, I'm not rooting for Felecia, and so I'm excited to see. Let's see Bowie Jane actually commit to something, because where does she actually lie in this game? I have no idea. I cannot confidently say she is 100% with this person because she is very good at floating. Now she has to make some moves, so let's see what kind of game she has.
It seems like she's been very much with. Well, she's with Cameron for sure. I think that's been kind of the reality for a while because they've never done anything to split apart. And then I feel like it's Jag and Matt. Like I feel like she's just around for a lot of the strategy conversations that they have, and I think that's intentional by their part because that makes her feel a part of it. So
Sure.
I think it's gonna be those three that she's riding with this week.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're probably right. I think like, and I mean, it's hard to know. I feel like there is something with Cory and America, and I don't think she's gonna like target them specifically. Um, and I don't know if we want to talk about Mimi just grouping them all together as a trio, which is feels kind of insane. Like just to be like, hey, these are the three people in the alliance that are. I mean, I don't know. I did not see where that was
Yeah,
coming from at all.
yeah. She just seems so. People just seem to like pick those two as their. That's what this whole house seems to be doing this entire season. For the first half of the season, Cameron was the focus of everyone's hate. Everyone hated Cameron and everyone wanted Cameron out. And now he's finally been able to like get rid of that a little bit. But people just hate Cory and America. And they just want to get those two so bad. And so they're just throwing everything at those two specifically. And are they playing a perfect game? Absolutely not. Have they lied to Felecia and Meme? Absolutely. But still, it feels like the whole house is like the target is so squarely on them that nobody's paying attention to everybody else, and I think that's it seems like to me, and I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because it feels like the people that are mostly paying a target on them are the people that almost can't do anything about it. You know, like we saw Jared put them up when he was HOH, but
Hmm.
the plan was to backdoor Cam. So it's like even
Yeah.
though like you are very and that was after their big fight, Corey and Jared's fight. So he's like, yeah, but you're not my target still. So it's weird because like they are kind of the target, but I don't think that Matt or Jag would necessarily go after them if they won. At least not this week. Maybe so. It's like it's hard to tell like who would actually take this shot. Like yes, I think Felicia probably would. Sari probably definitely would. Um, but like Cameron, like he isn't touching them. So I don't know. It like they are the
Hmm.
target, but yet they're not in danger quite yet. It's
Yeah.
very fascinating.
Everyone's scared to take the first shot because I think Cameron and the two groups to me right now are Cameron and America, and at least that they're showing us, and then Jag, Matt, and Cameron. And I think Blue is
Corey,
kind of a part of that.
you said Cameron in America, Corey in America. Just
Cory and America. Sorry,
yes.
Cory and America.
just so no one's
Cameron,
confused listening.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Then Cameron, Matt, Jag, and probably Blue is also included in that. And that feels like the split. Bowie Jane fits into one of those two, I think. Sari, I think, is just like hands off. Like I just need to not do anything for a few weeks, and
hmm
and she's just gonna slide right by. No one seems worried about her. Felecia seems to be her separate camp that's against Cory and America. But between the two groups of Cory and America and then Matt, Jag, and that whole crew, they're just no one wants to take that shot. So they're just waiting around. I don't think Bowie Jane is going to take that shot. It wouldn't surprise me if it was Sari and Felecia on the block this week or something like that.
I think you're probably right.
Just because it's the safest thing. And I mean, you could take that Cory and America shot, Cory and America, and then backdoor Felecia. That'd be fun. But that's you don't need to backdoor Felecia. Yeah. So you don't I don't know. I kind of want Bowie Jane to do what Jessica did in Big Brother 21 and just like blow the game wide open by putting just the strongest people up on the block and being like, "All right, figure it out, guys. Who's going to win this?"
Yeah, I think the main difference between that is like Jessica wasn't working with the strong people necessarily. Like those were opposite sides. Where Bowie, like she doesn't need to take that shot. And I do wonder, like, was there a part of her that maybe shouldn't have won this week? Like I get that
Yeah.
Mimi just called her out, but even of those three, she's probably the third to go behind Cory and America. So I don't know. I just wonder, like, was this the week to go all out? And maybe she tried to throw it with a horrible guess and somehow
Maybe. And then was like, "This is too bad. I can't do this."
So she threw in the 6, and I kind of want to believe that. I want to believe that because I don't want to believe that she is that bad at math, but maybe she is.
Well, it wasn't math. Like there was no math involved. I think it's unfair to say she just wrote down a number. Like I feel like she did what it's supposed to be. I don't think you're supposed to have time to like calculate exactly what it is. It's like, hey, write down what feels right in the moment. And so she's like 27. Final answer.
I guess so, but there has to be like just a
No.
split-second math to know that 27 minutes is 27 minutes, right?
You want to know what my split-second thought was? I was like, frick, I don't know, 1,000,000? Like that's genuinely what popped into my head. A million? And then I thought about it a little bit. I was like, it's probably not 1,000,000. I should probably erase a couple zeros. But
I mean, like you have time. You have time to think about it. It doesn't have to be just. All right, whatever.
I think I was leaning more seconds than anything else, if I'm honest. But...
That's fair. Let's back it up a bit, because we didn't talk at all about Cam's HOH, which we don't talk much because it's over now. But recording last week, we didn't know that he won a HOH, and he wound up winning HOH and veto this week, which is insane. Are you confused by that?
For some, you were like Cam's HOH, and I was like thinking back to weeks ago for some reason, and it just didn't register that he was the HOH this week.
He's always HOH. I mean,
I should have assumed.
This is number 3 and his second veto, maybe.
He's actually a terrifying player to play against. I think.
I should have looked this up, but I would be very interested to see like the percentage of HOHs that he wins that he's able to compete in, because like there has also been before this coming week 2 that he wasn't able to play in, so like how many HOHs have there been this season? I mean, not that many. So the fact that 2 of them you rule out from him competing in, and then he's won 3 of the ones he can compete in, like that's kind of crazy. It's a insane stat, and you gotta wonder if people are just regretting every single week that they didn't vote him out the very first time they had the chance when they voted out his Sam instead.
He's competed in 6 and he's won 3.
That's insane.
If I'm doing my math right, that's so wild.
That's got to be one of the highest percentages, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, just think like if he wins next week.
There's some pretty high ones because there's people who have won like 4 or 5. So I'd have to pull up the numbers. Well, we can look into that once we see the totality of his game.
This would have been a great episode to have that. So we'll talk about it next week when he probably wins again.
Yeah. Yes, we probably will do that.
What did you think about his plan this week, which seemed to shift a little bit, go back and forth? But ultimately, the initial goal was to get out Felecia. He does that by putting up Felecia and Meme. Is that the correct move for him? I mean, it seemed to like not destroy his game and probably helped in some areas. So I like to think that, overall it was a pretty good week for him.
Absolutely. I think that was the route to go. And even when it came to the potential backdoor of Cory, he's finally kind of out of the spotlight. I don't see why he should put himself back into the spotlight by taking a shot like that. Because now he has a big move on his resume that people also have to be worried about on top of his just strong ability in comps. So I think it was the right move to just focus on those 2 and just keep it the same. And then that's all he really did this week. Their decision to take out Meme, interesting.
It's interesting.
I don't know if I love it.
Well,
but I think Cameron overall, let's stay on Cameron for a second. I think he had a great week.
Well, I was just going to say, before we get to Meme, I think we should really talk about the potential backdoor for Cory, because that was very close to happening. And
Yeah.
everybody seemed to know it, including Cory, who found out from Cameron himself. I think when Cameron finally decided, like, hey, I'm not going to do this move, he decided to tell Cory, throwing Blue under the bus, which sets alarms off in Cory, because Cory then connects, like, wait a minute, Jag and Matt probably knew about it. And they did. Jag and Matt very much considered, like,
Absolutely.
hey, let's do this. So, yeah, I mean, like, I think you did say, like, it probably wasn't the week to, do that to Cory. And I think I agree with that. Like, I don't know who that really helps, especially because Cory seems to be the person that most of the house is targeting. So there would be very few games that I think that would actually benefit, especially for, like, Matt and Jag, where Cory is still, like, trusting them, So it's like, why would you want to get him out right now? Like, I think there's still plenty of weeks to do that, especially because Cory doesn't seem to be winning a lot of competitions to save himself.
Mm-hmm. And then I don't think it actually impacted anything, but Felicia's speech made it clear that you might not have to take that shot, in that there's two other parties that are battling each other. Let them fight it out, and then you can just come in and take out whoever's left. Like, it's unnecessary to dive into a battle that you weren't a part of.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, overall, I think it ended up being a pretty good week for a lot of people, which you have to wonder, like, I mean, that can't be true. Like, somebody did have a bad week because of it outside of Meme, clearly. But I just, like, I don't know who it is, like, I can't really figure out. I think ultimately for Cory and America, probably keeping Felecia was not the best decision, but I also wonder, the way that Meme went out, was there some of that she had inside the house with them already, and keeping her with that, you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe that, like, all of that is just because she got voted out. Like, there had to be more there that made her not trust them, so maybe getting her out was the best move.
Dude, Mimi didn't trust anyone. Like, I don't think she trusted anyone in the house the entire time, which, honestly, not a bad strategy, but to sit there and pretend that they're ridiculous and that you're smart because you didn't trust, like, I don't know. She was a lot of talk and not a lot of actual, like, moves or gameplay that meant anything. And so to me, it's just chatter. It's just trying to build yourself up. She said she wanted to come back and play. Like, I don't want to see her play again. She had a very boring game. What we were saying is she's in a good spot and she was collecting information, and hopefully it was just going to go to work soon. She didn't do that at all. She didn't fight for herself at all. Like, get out of here. Like,
Yeah.
You just kind of accepted your fate.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, and there was even a moment, I think, today where, like, she finally figured out, like, oh, I think I'm the vote. Like, I think this is going this way, and she just accepted it. Like, she just spent time in the bathroom all by herself, doing her hair, just, like, getting ready for like, after knowing this information, and that's just not, like, you have to continue to fight up until the very end if you want to play this game. And while I do think there was, like, potential there, it's just, like, nothing ever came from it, And I think her lack of commitment to so many people is what really did it. Because, like, there were even, like, weeks ago where it felt like her and Cory were having good talks. Like, it felt like, oh, there could be something here. And there was a Final Four with them all, But it's like, why wasn't that more solidified? Like, there is clearly more you could have done to make Cory and America feel like, oh, this is a real thing, because nobody felt like it was a real thing with her.
Yeah, and I think or what's her name? Julie. I said Sir. Julie called her a super fan when she was sitting out there. I don't know if I got the super fan vibe from her ever, but I definitely don't think she was there to really play the game.
Yeah.
Like, she would, like, have game conversations, whatever. She wasn't trying to make alliances, and maybe she was just trying to avoid all the fluff and all. But, like, that's part of the game, is making alliances that are never going to actually do anything. Like, part of the game is being nice to people and talking to everyone and, like, being a part of those conversations, even if you know that you're not going to, at the end of the day, be with those people and fight for those people.
Right.
And to just blame it on them being fake and, like, manipulative and lying or whatever, it's like, yeah, that's the game. If you're a super fan, like, you expect that.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had such strong feelings about her, but right now it's just, like, making me mad how bitter she was.
I will say, I have noticed that's a trend with you. You don't seem to like a lot of bitter players like that. I think like her exit is something that you consistently like don't love. I don't know. I'll have to pull up other examples, but I think it tracks. I think it makes sense to me.
I think I don't like bitterness when it's like you weren't doing anything to actually be a part of it or
Well,
to
especially because
actually.
I think like in her case, it really felt like she was just being a sore loser. Like that's what it
Yeah.
felt like.
And
So
like,
I don't disagree with you. I also
But you're just sensing a trend that you wanted to point out. All right.
I
see
think
you.
like
I see you.
when you started going, I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense why Tony doesn't like her because she did this. That's all.
And I haven't like been opposed to her all season. I've been like, oh, and that's because I'm the like see the like potential in her gameplay. I was like, oh, she might be able to make something happen. And
Yeah. No
game's the game.
potential. Great potential. No
Should have
outcome.
kept her around. Felicia's like, all right, moving on. Cory and America. Cory's mentality that keeping Felecia would be funny, I love.
I love it.
But when you are like public enemy number one at this point, you doing something because you think it's going to be funny, and that thing that you're doing that you think is funny is saving the one person who you know is going to go for you, no
Right.
matter what.
Right.
The humor kind of has to take the back seat, my guy. You can't just do that.
I love the conversation when Matt and Jack are like, how do we break it to them? And then Cory volunteers it. He goes, what if they're like, oh yeah, oh okay, sure, like just playing along. It's like, dude, you are just doing their dirty work and allowing them to skate by without having to like, oh man. But yeah, no, when he said that, I was like, okay, I think he's clearly a super fan, unlike Mimi, and like gets what we want. He knows what we want. I'm like, you're right, Cory, that would be very funny. And that's like the type of logic I would have all the time in the house, like, oh this would be really funny. I don't know if I'd act on it, but like that is what would
bring
go
it
through my
up.
head.
Yeah. He has, I think, he tries to have some of that showmanship that we've talked about, some like the theatrical aspect of being a Big Brother player. But I feel like he's not doing big enough moves so far to be theatrical with.
Well, I feel like he just has to win something, you know? I mean, like his one HOH in the double, like he got Jared out. That was a big move, you know? And
It was a big
he
move.
has that
Absolutely.
on his resume. So I think like he has the willingness to do it if given the chance, but he doesn't have the chance because he can't win these things, you know? It's just like he can't win these competitions. So like what move are you going to do? You're just going to
This one probably should have
do
been
all
his.
the moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. I feel like I was about to say something else about that.
I have a question for you.
not.
Well,
Yeah, give
and
me
we
a
can come
question.
back to whatever you're thinking.
I might not be thinking anything.
How much credit, or like, where do you allocate from what you have seen the credit of this flip off of Felecia to Nicole?
Ooh, that is, I would say, and I'll be honest, I haven't been as in depth with the feeds this week, mostly because it has been pretty predictable. But from what I've gathered, I think the episode did a pretty good job as far as like, I think Matt and Jag were definitely considering it, and then Cory and America were considering it separate. So it's really hard to tell, like, which side actually wanted it the most. But I think
Just
between,
kind of
like,
independent
the 4 of
thought.
them,
Yeah.
well, yeah, and that's the weird thing though, because like every week there's only 2 options, so you run through both of them. You know what I mean? So it's like it's more so who was the one to get the ball rolling, and I
feel like,
yeah, I don't know. I
Sorry,
want to
go
say
ahead.
Matt. I want to say Matt and Jack probably. Because I think they were the ones that entertained Cory saying it out loud first.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think that it'd be wild if they presented it as those two and it really wasn't those two. And it honestly sounds like something CBS might do. But usually you want them to present like, okay, this is how it actually happened. Yeah, so I would lean towards those two as well. It's just so hard. It feels like there's the one person in those conversations when it's first brought up that says something or makes a firm statement that's like, this goes from like a joke consideration to like, oh, we're actually considering this. And then maybe even another, like one person says one thing that makes it like, oh, we might actually go with this option. Because you know how it is. You like joke about like, oh, we could do this, we could do this, and then one person's like, oh, I actually want to do that. And that just shifts the entire conversation to like, oh, are we gonna do this now? I'll go with you if you want to do it.
Yeah.
And so we didn't get to see who that was.
Yeah.
Do you think Felecia going after Cory, do you think that actually impacted anything?
I
Cory and
actually,
America and everybody.
I think it probably helped her with some of those other people like Matt and Jag, and probably even Cameron a little bit. You know, like we didn't actually see a conversation on the episode with like them telling Cameron that the vote was going to stay this way, and I'm not 100% sure how that went down, but like clearly he knew, like everyone knew about it. You know, even Suri and Blue, who they were originally going to blindside, which I do have a thing to say about that in a moment. So like, I don't know. I think like her blowing up gave a lot of those people like, hey, she will not come after us if we keep her because she just told us who she is after, you know? So that's even more reason where it's like, Cory and America, was that the best move? Because I don't know. So that I think it helped them a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. Which bums me out because I'm like over Felecia. I feel like she's so much more confident than I feel like she should be based on like the game that she's played, and that always bothers me. When people are just like so cocky and like making threats like you don't mess with Felecia. It's like so many people have messed with Felecia this season. Like what do you mean you don't mess with Felecia? And then she stayed, and I feel like she's gonna have a big head about it. And if she won HOH, she would have been insufferable, I think. So I'm very glad that didn't happen. But undoubtedly, she did do something with that. I think that's fair to say.
Yes. The thing I was gonna say was Suri and Blue, which we didn't see in the episode. But Matt and Jag very much caught on to Cory's plan on the live feeds, where Cory wanted to blindside, specifically Blue, more so to further separate Matt and Jag from her, so that like she would be on the opposite side of the vote. Yeah, so he mentioned it in the DR in tonight's episode, like, I want this to be a blindside for people so that there's a clear distinction, you know? And Matt and Jag, they figured it out. Like, they talked to her like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, if we do this, Blue will not work with us. I think that's what Cory wants. So very smart of them to just make this, again, like we said, anonymous votes are boring to some, but like it's smart for a lot of reasons. And for Matt and Jag, like that was a good move because now there is no separation of who they're more aligned with, whether it be Suri, Blue, or Cory America. So I think it made sense. And I don't know, Cory and Blue is a weird feud that is fascinating. And I'm excited to see how that continues because Blue really wants Cory out.
Yeah, Blue. That's one of the things. Like, if people just decide that they like don't, they want somebody out, and they're on the opposite side of them, and then they just build up this like hatred for these people. And like, to be fair, we see every aspect of these people's lives. We don't see the polished answers that they have. I'm sure these people like Cory as a person, but we get to see that like when you get done hanging out with somebody and you're like, man, they were so annoying when they did this. Like people do that all the time. Or like, did anybody else notice when they said this? Like that happens.
Yeah.
But it's just so amplified. And when you're with other people, you just get so, when you're with the same people, you just get so sick of them. And so it's interesting to see how just like wanting to get somebody out suddenly turns into just absolutely despising someone. Yeah. And he did get her poo out, so that's tough too.
Speaking of, do we want to talk about Jared at all? Have you seen any of his exit interviews or post him being evicted?
I saw him explain. The only one I saw was him talking about he had just broken up with his girlfriend or whatever. They weren't actually together. They were in a weird spot, and so that's kind of where Blue was at with her ex. And so they kind of found each other as like someone to like lean on almost during that. Because I don't think they're like dating or planning on dating necessarily, but a cuddle buddy essentially. But that's fine. That makes sense. And that I feel bad that wasn't completely understood. Because if I knew that was the case, I probably would have been more okay with it. But people kept saying he had a girlfriend or someone that he was still something with, and so I was like, that's pretty scummy. And then CBS stopped showing it, which made it feel more scummy, like they were hiding it from everybody.
No, it was very weird, but yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to just say because he has talked, and I'll say I don't know. I've been pretty surprised with a lot of his interviews, and he seems like very, at least willing to be accountable for a lot of the things that people have problems with, more so than other people who were in his position and come out like Daniel from last year. But
Yeah.
so I don't know. I just wanted to give him some props because yes, we definitely were not fans of him inside the game, and who knows? You know, is he telling the truth or not now? You can't. You know, we'll just take him at his word and see. I guess doesn't actually matter though at all.
Yeah. I like to think for the most part, I was just not a fan of him as a game player. Like, yeah, there was the stuff
Opposite
with
for
Lou
me.
that
No,
I think was
I
a
like
little.
hated him as a person. That was my issue.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure you differentiated. You're a bad person for hating him as a person. But yeah, like I don't think I had many issues with him. Like, yeah, I don't know. Worth noting.
Actually,
Maybe not.
wait. So this is a funny update for us. Okay, so we're on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Have not been posting a lot there. I kind of burnt out on, but
Fair.
so you know, early on in the season, I was just getting roasted because one of our videos went pretty viral of me commenting how Izzy probably didn't watch all the seasons twice. You know,
Yep.
that has shifted this week. I think because Jared got voted out, he's been popping up more on people's algorithm, and I made a video pre-season when the cast was announced talking about him being Cerise's son. Now this was before we knew Cerise was on the season, so this was just
Yeah.
like, hey, Cerise's son's on it. So I made a video being like, hey, here's like the big shock of the cast, right? This is Cerise Field's son. Like, let's hope he's like, you know, as good as her or something. Like, there's might be potential. Like, that was the video, right? I didn't know anything
Yeah.
about him. So that video is getting some traction this week, and people are commenting
Why?
just like, oh, what do you think about him now? Like, oh, this didn't age well. It's like, well, yeah, okay, come on. It's very funny. So
You're just like, I had the most vanilla takes ever, and you're still mad that I had any takes at all.
people are like checking in on the receipts on our podcast because I suggested he might have some of that Fields gameplay. So it's can't win on TikTok. Love it though.
You love
Thanks.
people. You love people.
Thanks for the clicks. All right, who else do we need to talk about that we have not talked about? I feel like we hit mostly everyone.
The Matt and Jag duo are doing some things, and I'm here for it. It's fun to see them. I feel like they're actually playing the game, and that's
Yes.
and like seeing things and recognizing things, and I think it's cool.
Are they in the best position in the house? I would say yes. I am
Yeah,
pretty
especially with
confident.
Bowie as the HOH. Yes, I think so.
I think they're one of the few people where anyone could be HOH, and I don't know if they would have got touched. I don't. I think every other person, there's potential that they go up given the right person as HOH, but I don't think that happens with them.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know that they're. I feel like maybe if America was HOH, she would have gone a little rogue, but
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she's tight with Jag. Like they go
honestly,
bad.
yeah, that's
So
true.
I think everyone else has higher targets on their list, and even if there is suspicion that they might be playing the middle, right now the middle is like safe to keep in. You know, like there's no threat of it. Like people have like active targets that are dangerous for their game, and Matt and Jack don't seem to be dangerous to anyone's game.
And everybody's playing the middle. Everyone is.
It's a whole season of middle. That's all it is.
Yeah. Talk about Big Brother in the middle. Nailed that joke.
Middle brother.
Yep. Hey, I was gonna ask you,
Yeah.
Nathan. We're 2/3 of the way, just about through the Big Brother season,
Yes.
and the jury just started.
Yes.
Now we've talked in the past about how like we wanted 7-person juries. We thought that would be interesting. I think that was before we would have this like battle back type thing, which made it extend even further, and 17 house guests and 100-day season. But regardless, they're the people that are in there. Yes, they were there for the whole time, but they're only the people from the last third of the game. What do you think about that?
I still like it. I'm trying to detect the wording of your question because it seems like I
Oh,
shouldn't like it. Or is there
no,
no
I
word?
was-
It's just an open question. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I still think it's good. I think especially looking at the two people, which maybe that's bad, but like Jared and Mimi, who would have been in the jury, I don't know. I think I'm fine with them being like not having a say in it, I suppose, but maybe that's just because I don't agree with the way they probably would have voted in the end. Uh, but yeah, no, I think like because it's more like whoever's in the jury has seen pretty much the whole game, and so I think like these people, the person who is first in jury gets an extra 2 weeks in the Big Brother house, or actually 3 weeks, than the first person in jury in a 9-person jury. Does that make sense? I think
Yeah.
so. I don't know. Like I think that's good. Like the fact that they've been in the house so long, and get to see all that gameplay. And so I'm still a fan of it. I think it's the long season that I'm still kind of like on, but
That's fair.
That's a different conversation, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my thought with it is it's so easy and everybody was there for the whole game. So it's not necessarily an issue. But everything is going to be so focused on this last third and how it's played in this last third, I feel like, in the jury section. There's not going to be as much emphasis in the totality of the game because there's not people who only experience those earlier things to, I don't know, bring that aspect. Maybe that's not necessary. Maybe that's just my mind thinking that should be a necessary thing. So I just wanted to get your thoughts. And
Yeah.
at first I was like, I don't love the jury starting this late, but I think you make some strong points.
Yeah, because I think like the jury starting earlier, all that allows is for that first person to have less time in the Big Brother house, which I don't know if that helps.
That's fair.
I think that's the major difference there. But I don't know. I'm still a fan of, let's just shorten. Like it's been. I think I didn't fact check this, okay, but I saw on Twitter today that it's been 50 days since Heisem was voted out, which is insane. I mean, we've been playing this game for over 2 months, and so I think if anything, I'm just a fan of like let's just like speed this up, and I get it, like they have a weekly schedule, but it's like, could there be a week we have an eviction on a Thursday and then also a Sunday or something? Like, I don't know. I think just like, especially if we get to these last few weeks, like I think, maybe the next week or so we can reevaluate, like, do we think this season is still on track to be a good one? I would say as of right now it still is. I think the zombie week really slowed it down, and that kind of really messed up the pace where now it's like I'm trying to get reinvested because I took a whole week off. But I think, like, I don't know, this is gonna enter that slow zone of Big Brother where we get to the final 6 and the final 5, and it's gonna be like, oh man, what do we even talk about? Because people have had their targets for weeks, and there's very little game taking place at this stage in the game.
Yeah, we are in a position though where I feel like almost everyone left as a gamer. Like they're all there to play. So we're not in that bad of a position, but I definitely agree that like it's not the best. It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot because it's so slow and it's entering that part of the season, and that's just the reality of Big Brother. I don't think there's any seasons that it's like that. Endgame was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
At least none that come to mind immediately. So it's just the reality of the game, and I wish if the game like accelerated as the season went, something like let's just find a way to make it easier on everybody. Even if we started with more people in the house and then sped it up. Like that I would be okay with.
Right. I always bring up season 21 because somehow they managed to make that final 5 interesting. That was really a make or break that season as far as who won. But besides that, you're right. I think it's just a flaw of the game. I think it's like there's nothing you can really do to make it more entertaining other than to speed it up. Like we don't need to see a full week of 4 people in the house. We don't need to see a full week of 5 people in the house. It's just too much.
Yeah. Survivor learned that lesson and they just said, "Hey, we're at final 6. This is our last episode. We're just going to have a 2-hour finale." just like skip all the stuff that you don't care about cuz we're not going to bore you.
Anything else about this week of Big Brother that we need to discuss?
Nothing about this week.
Discuss? No. All right, cool. Did you like we brought back a movie reward for the veto? That was fun.
I did. Man, there would be no part of me that would be interested in watching that movie. So when they were like, "You get to watch this movie and invite friends," I'd be like, "I do not want to go. No, thank you."
Didn't you just watch The Exorcist? I think I saw
I
it on
did.
Letterboxd.
I did watch The Exorcist.
So, but you don't want to watch this one?
Okay, so I watched The Exorcist while I was working in the middle of the afternoon
That
with
is
the window
that
open.
is not the way to watch that movie.
Hey, it was good. I
My
enjoyed it more than I would have if I did it at night with the blinds closed.
my favorite part about it was Blue shouting out the director, David Gordon Green. She goes, "David Gordon Green, you're the best." Like,
I've always been a
There's-
big David Gordon Green fan.
that's what I'm saying. There's no way that you knew who that man was. Okay, I barely know who he is, and I'm way too invested in movies. Like, that's not a household name that you just like. David Gordon Green, he did it again. There's no way.
Did he
No
direct
way.
anything else big?
He directed I think the last 3 Halloween movies, the ones that just came out.
Oh, okay. No, okay.
Let me
I'm
double check
a
my
big
work
David
now.
Gordon Green fan then.
Now I got it.
You
Now I
kidding
got to
me?
double check to see if I'm correct about that. And the wait. It's not good radio. Yes, he did.
Okay.
Halloween trilogy. There's that.
Hey, I got one more
Uh,
thing before we wrap this up because we still have to record a whole podcast about Survivor.
We do.
Word on the street is CBS is reaching out to people about potentially an all winners season of Big Brother this winter.
Yes.
That's not me saying that it's going to happen or if it's even likely to happen, but it's nice to hear that they're reaching out to see if there's interest in such a thing. And maybe we'll get like some sort of all-star winter season. I'd be down.
I'd be down if it's a shortened version, like the Celebrity Big Brother format, I think worked really well.
Yeah, but I think they're trying to fill time because of this writer strike and actor strike. So I think they're probably trying to do a full season.
I think you're right. I think our only hope is that the writer strike is potentially over, so we could.
But the actors are still on strike, right?
Yes, although they were coming to a deal, I think this coming week, or
Okay.
not coming to negotiating. I don't know. Different
Cool,
podcast.
cool, cool.
We can discuss. it.
Anyways, yep. But yeah, potential winter season and like maybe all winners, which would be so sick.
That would be sick. Hey, Dan is currently filming The Traitor, so maybe
He
he's
is.
back in. That's hope.
They should make him play Survivor now. That's what they should do. Well, Nathan,
Well, Tony, let's wrap this up. For more episodes, to listen to our coverage of Big Brother and Survivor, which we will be recording in a moment, visit notgameallpersonal.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at NGAPpod, at NGAPpod. I'm Nathan. This is Tony, and we will see you next week.
remember, love one another.